Before we take the wiper blade arms off, it's always a good idea to just take a marker that's okay to use on a windshield, like a paint marker, and just mark where the wipers are, so when you put it back together, you can put them in the same place. Take this cover off right here. You can use a pick or a screwdriver just to get underneath here, pry it up. Use a 15mm socket, take this nut off. You might want to hold the arm while you do this. They make wiper arm pullers. You can try one of those and try to fit that on if you're having trouble getting this off. But for the most part, if you just rock this back and forth, you should be able to slide it right off. Now we'll do the same on this one. Take these side panels off. There is a little push pin in here. You can use the trim tool. Just get under there. Just keep in mind, be careful of the paint. You don't want to scratch it. And take that out. You'll grab the panel. I'm just going to pop it out. Just like that. And just slide it down, and it slides right out. And we'll do the same on the other side. Remove the weather stripping, just grab it right here, and it's clipped in right there. That's as much of that as you have to do. And then there's a trim push pin right there. Take this push pin out. And just grab this panel. There's a little ear down here you have to push on. And then this clips in like this and just folds out of the way. There's just some push pins holding that on. You're going to do that on both sides. In the center here, there's two push pins. Take those out with the trim tool. Disconnect the hose right here. You just grab it where the junction is. Just slide that out. This is going to stay attached to the cowl. And grab the cowl, lift it up, and slide it out. Couple push pins in there to hold the back side on. Disconnect this connector right here. There's a little lock tab on the back side. You have to pry this out a little bit and then just slide it out. Use a 10mm socket. Take this bolt out here. There's one right here. And also one right here. Now grab the transmission and motor. You're gonna have to slide it back a little bit and twist it. There's a shield on these. Slide that shield out of the way. If you just slide it down like that, you can slide it out. There it is. Now I'm gonna use a 1 1/8 wrench and just slide it in between here. This is just to prevent the arm from turning. You could use an adjustable, you could use a pair of pliers, that would be fine. And use a 14mm socket. Take this nut off. The wrench is just to prevent this from spinning at all, or the motor from spinning. Now we can just pry underneath here, pry this arm off. Like that. Then take these two bolts out, use a 10mm socket. And just slide this out, set that aside. Now take the wiper transmission and just line it up, same way it came off. This is gonna go over the motor. Get the holes to line up. Take the bolts, line those up. And get them started. And tighten these down. You want this bar lined up the same as when you took it off. Make sure that's in the same location. Then put the lock washer first, and then the nut. You might have to raise this up a little bit to get the nut to line up. Now take our 1 1/8 wrench, line that up. If you have a smaller wrench that fits a little better, you can use that. And using a 14mm wrench, we'll tighten this down. We just don't want the motor to spin at all. Good. Now take the assembly and just slide those panels underneath the covers, line that up, and put the bolts in, get those all started. Tighten these down. Now plug it in. Make sure your fingers are clear just in case there's power going to it and it moves all of a sudden, which it looks good. What we want to do now is just test it. Make sure you don't put your hands in any of this area when you're checking it. I'm going to turn the key on and just watch the studs and watch them move. Make sure they don't go backwards and then one direction. They should only go in one direction and then back down. So it should twist to the right and then twist to the left. Turn it on. And they do exactly that. So now you want to get it to the park position and make sure you shut the key off without them rotating. Otherwise, the blades aren't going to be lined up correctly. Now, if the stud turned down first and then went up, you're going to have to take this apart again and retime the motor. That arm that you put on the motor isn't going to be in the right position. All right, line the cowl up. And just push it down. Make sure it locks in place. We can connect this while we're there so we don't forget. Put these push pins back in. Put these shields back on. Line this trim up, the weather stripping, and put the push pin back in. Do the same on the other side. And reinstall these trim pieces up here. Just slide it in position. And push the push pin back in. And push the push pin back in. Now you can take the arm, slide it in position. You can line it up with your mark on the windshield. Put the nut on. Snug it down. Now while holding the wiper arm, I'm going to torque this nut to 21 foot-pounds. And take the cap, line it up, lock it down. Now you can do the same on the other one.